Most people think they know how much exercise they need. They're wrong. The debate isn't between a 30-minute jog and a 2-hour gym session. It's a violent disagreement about the very definition of enough. On one side, you have decades of public health data defining an optimal standard. On the other, you have a wave of new science showing the returns you can get from an amount of activity that feels like cheating. Both sides have proof, and both have consequences. Where do you stand? By the end of this, you might change your mind. The gold standard is clear, and it's probably familiar. 150 minutes of moderate aerobic activity or 75 minutes of vigorous activity per week, plus 2 days of muscle strengthening activity. This recommendation comes from organizations like the World Health Organization and the Centers for Disease Control. These numbers are the result of analyzing mountains of data from millions of people over decades. They represent the dosage of exercise that correlates with the largest reductions in all-cause mortality. Following this guideline dramatically lowers your risk of heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, dementia, and several types of cancer. It's the scientifically validated recipe for a longer, healthier life. The logic is bulletproof. This level of activity builds robust cardiovascular fitness, forcing your heart and lungs to adapt and become more efficient. It preserves muscle mass, which is your body's primary metabolic engine and a crucial factor in how well you age. Consistent exercise improves your body's ability to manage blood sugar and enhances insulin sensitivity, pushing back against the metabolic creep of modern life. It even restructures your brain, boosting mood and cognitive function. This isn't just about adding years to your life, it's about adding life to your years. To settle for less is to willingly leave health benefits on the table. It's choosing to be less resilient, less capable, and more fragile than you could be. That sounds convincing. It is. But there's a devastating problem with this perfect standard. Almost nobody meets it. In the United States, depending on how you measure it, the percentage of adults who hit both the aerobic and strength training guidelines is somewhere around 23%. That means more than 3 out of 4 people are failing. And this is where the psychology gets toxic. When the ideal seems impossibly far away, the human response is often to give up entirely. The 150 minutes becomes a wall, not a target. The thought process is corrosive. I don't have an hour for the gym today, so I'll just skip it. I missed my Monday and Tuesday workouts, so this week is a wash. I'll start again next Monday. The pursuit of the perfect becomes the enemy of the good. The gold standard, for all its scientific validity, creates a culture of all or nothing thinking that, for most people, results in nothing. This is where the new science of the minimum effective dose comes in. And it's a revolution. It starts by asking a different question. Instead of asking what is optimal, it asks what is the smallest dose that produces a meaningful result. The answer is shockingly small. The greatest health benefits from exercise don't come from going from fit to very fit. They come from going from sedentary to doing something. Anything. The dose-response curve is steepest at the very beginning. At 22,000 people found that you start to see a significant reduction in your risk of dying from any cause at just under 4,000 steps per day. Your risk of dying from cardiovascular disease starts to fall at just over 2,300 steps. Each additional 500 to 1,000 steps brings more benefit, but the biggest leap is that first one. Out of the chair. This principle applies to intensity too. Another study looked at vigorous intermittent lifestyle physical activity. Think running for the bus, carrying heavy groceries upstairs, or taking the stairs 2 at a time. They found that just 3 to 4 1-minute bursts of this kind of activity, spread throughout the day, were linked to a nearly 40% reduction in all-cause mortality. 3 minutes. Total. This isn't a workout. This is just reframing moments of effort that already exist in your day. This approach dismantles the "I don't have time" excuse completely. You have time for 1 minute. Everyone does. And yet this can't be the whole story, can it? Critics of the minimum dose approach point to a dangerous blind spot. While these microdoses of activity are fantastic for reducing mortality risk, they do very little for building what you might call functional capacity. Sure, a 20-minute walk each day makes you less likely to have a heart attack. That's a huge win. But will it give you the strength to lift your own suitcase into the overhead bin when you're 75? Will it give you the stamina to play with your grandkids for an hour without feeling wiped out? Will it give you the bone density to survive a fall without a fracture? Probably not. There's a profound difference between exercising to avoid death and training to improve your life. The minimum dose can become a permission slip for mediocrity. It's a biohack to secure the passing grade of not dying prematurely. It fails to build the physical reserves, the strength, and the robustness that allow you to engage with the world fully. Strength training is the perfect example. You can't build significant muscle with a few push-ups here and there. Building strength requires progressive overload, pushing your muscles close to failure. This is a stressor that demands dedicated time and effort. There is no simple hack for getting stronger. The minimum dose for maintaining strength once you have it is quite low. But the minimum for building it in the first place is much higher. The minimum dose conversation often conveniently ignores this. So now we have a paradox. One path offers the ideal physique and function, but sets a bar so high most people give up. The other offers an achievable first step that saves your life, but may leave you physically incompetent for life's real demands. The truth isn't the science. The problem isn't the science. The problem is the framing. We are having two different conversations and pretending they are one. One conversation is about public health strategy. The other is about personal ambition. For public health, promoting the minimum effective dose is a clear winner. Getting millions of sedentary people to walk for 15 minutes a day would save more lives and prevent more chronic disease than getting a few thousand already fit people to run a marathon. It's triage. It's about stopping the bleeding. But on a personal level, you have to ask a harder question. What are you training for? Is your goal simply to lower your statistical risk of disease? If so, the minimum dose is a magnificent liberating tool. It frees you from the guilt and pressure of the fitness industry. It lets you integrate movement into your life in a sustainable way. It's a system designed for winning, but if your goal is performance, capability, or a specific aesthetic, the minimum dose is just the starting block. It's the alphabet, not the novel. A 20-minute walk is an incredible health intervention. It's a poor training plan. Imagine your physical capacity as a financial account, a sedentary life as an account with zero balance, being eaten by inflation. The minimum dose is like setting up a tiny automatic weekly deposit. It changes the trajectory from negative to positive. You're building a small buffer. It's vastly better than nothing. The gold standard of 150 minutes plus strength training is a more aggressive savings plan. It builds a real cushion, giving you a buffer against unexpected withdrawals like an illness or injury. An athlete's training plan is an aggressive investment portfolio designed for high growth and peak performance with correspondingly higher demands. There's no single right answer. There's only the answer that aligns with your goals. The conflict arises when we apply the logic of one goal to the context of another. Telling a sedentary person they need to train like an athlete is destructive. But telling an ambitious person that a 20-minute walk is all they need is equally dishonest. This leads us to the real core of the debate. It's about the purpose of the human body in the 21st century. For almost all of human history, physical capability was a prerequisite for survival. Today, for many of us, it's an option. We can outsource physical labor to machines, and a sedentary life is economically viable. So we are left with a choice. Do we treat our bodies as a vehicle that just needs enough maintenance to get us through life with the least amount of trouble? Or do we treat it as an instrument to be tuned, strengthened, and pushed to see what it's capable of? The first approach is about risk mitigation. The second is about potential maximization. The minimum dose serves the first goal perfectly. It utterly fails the second. So, what do you think? The science of optimal provides a blueprint for a robust, capable body, but its demands can fuel a cycle of failure and guilt. The science of minimal offers an accessible path to massive health improvements, but risks becoming a ceiling on your potential. One strategy aims for the ideal and often delivers nothing. The other guarantees a small, crucial victory, but might persuade you to stop there. Where do you draw the line between what is necessary for survival and what is required for a life of vigor and capability? What are you really exercising for?